Welcome to Edification Coach YouTube channel. We are so elated to have you here. In this video we will share with you a conversation delivered by an extraterrestrial named Swaruu. She shared some information about our human origin. A story you and me never heard before. It takes time, research, resources, and lots of effort to make these videos beloved ones. For these reasons, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Hit the notification button. We would really appreciate it. So, let's begin.
The origin of the human being is a mystery that Earth science tries to solve. The most accepted theory is Darwinism, the evolution of species, in which it is affirmed that the human being has its origin in a primitive hominid similar to the monkey, and from there, it evolved through different evolutionary stages, such as Homo habilis, Homo erectus, the Neanderthal, each of them being more evolved and perfected to the previous one, until reaching the modern man or Homo sapiens sapiens. But how is it possible that in many archaeological places in Europe, such as the Amalda Cave, or the Gorham Cave, both in Spain, was found that Neanderthals and Homo sapiens lived together? How can it be that some fossils, discovered in Lake Turkana in Kenya, show that three different types of Homo, like Homo erectus and Homo habilis, all coexisted at the same time? But it goes even further. A discovery by a group of Dutch on the island of Java in Indonesia would demonstrate the Homo erectus and Homo sapiens interacted with each other. How could they live together and interact, if in theory, one has evolved from the other? What has happened in this period of time, and how were their social groups like? Did they really have such a basic and primitive social structure with hardly any cultural development? So, how is it possible that such primitive groups of hominids could build megalithic structures like Stonehenge? Not only because of the manipulation of the colossal stones, but also that they could place them strategically and align them. For example, with the winter and summer solstices. Where did they learn this knowledge? And what is the meaning of all those paintings that they left us on the stones? Were they just hunting scenes and moments from everyday life? Or did they leave us more messages? So, there are many doubts that arise when trying to understand our history, all those things that people call the evidence. All those monuments, paintings, ancient objects that somehow seem to be out of time, that do not fit with the official story. They make us ask a lot of questions. What has happened to our history? I will explain what has been shared by Yatsi Swaruu Tasharat through her knowledge of ancient history and the historical records of the Federation of United Planets. I would like to clarify again that all the dates that I will mention are only approximate. They are only a reference to understand the story within a human context. Remember that time is not linear. And therefore, history is not linear either, so it makes it very difficult to locate evidence, to locate events on a straight timeline. Before starting with the story, we would like to explain a little how our solar system and the Earth were like about 40,000 years ago. We think it's important, so that you can position yourself, and then understand the story a little better. 40,000 years ago, our solar system was a bit different. The planets were closer to each other, because the energetic and gravitational dynamics were different due to the presence of Tiamat, a planet that is not present today. Our solar system had 13 planets orbiting our star, the Sun. The planets, starting from the closest to the Sun and the furthest, were Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Tiamat. Its pieces remain present in the asteroid belt. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, Ojallo, for our Earth science Eris 13-61-99, Haumea, and Makemake. All the planets harbored complex life, either on the same planet, or on its moons, or both. For the Federation, 13 planets are accepted as such, since what determines whether or not an object is a planet has or must meet different qualities or characteristics for one or the other. For Earth science, they are based more on the size and relevance of the object. Instead, for the Federation, it depends more on its importance in sustaining life. In the case of Venus and Earth, they were inhabited by many anthropomorphic races similar to the Lyrian. Hence, that remains that archaeologists call the ancestors of modern humans. The best known is the Neanderthal, but there were more, Homo erectus, Homo habilis, among others. In the case of Neanderthals, they were not as they have been described to us. They had a highly evolved society towards spirituality and in harmony with nature. They were not very technologically evolved, but spiritually very loving with theirs and with animals and plants. Tiamat, a large planet with a high percentage of water, about 90% of the surface, and with small islands. It was inhabited by many aquatic beings, some Syrians base with advanced intelligence and cultural development. Today there are no records of its culture or its degree of advancement since everything was destroyed. The planet Ojala for the Earth Eris has a high content of life. By then it was inhabited by an advanced insectoid-type civilization, the Mantis. Today still present there. They also have their council there, the Ojala Council, where all their political movements, communications, and alliances with other groups of mantis races or advanced insectoid types are centered. Their political structure is mind hives with a queen as bees would have. Back then, a group of separatist mantis from the Ojala Council had a fairly large colony or base on Mars. They're still on Mars today, but only as a fully cooperating colony of Ojalo, part of their civilization. The most advanced race in the solar system at that time were the Charistus, inhabitants of Jupiter and its moons. They are still there today. The rest of our solar system was inhabited as today by infinity of species, mainly related to the word animals without any degree of cultural evolution. The biology of the entire solar system was in the fifth density, also, including the Earth. And except for the Charistus who were and are found in the sixth density. By then, the Earth was also a very different world from how we know it today. It lived as Tolkien describes it in The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. The surface was covered with extensive forests, had vast distances and plains, there were few seas and many lakes. You could walk around the world, even though it took years. All those distant lands full of mysteries and full of memory are now covered with water. The Earth had 5 more continents, today submerged underwater: Appalachia, Fennoscandia, Oceania, Thuringia and Beringia. If you looked at the sky, you could see Tiamat, the aquatic planet. It looked as big as the moon looks today. They called it the moon. The rings of Saturn could be seen in the distance, so close that they were observable with the naked eye, without the need for anything, only with the human eye. There was also ice at the poles, but much less since the Earth contained less percentage of water. Furthermore, the poles were at different points. The South Pole was in the position where Australia is today at that latitude. That means that what is now Antarctica was in places without ice. And that is why that continent contains so many archaeological remains of ancient civilizations. The poles have changed their position countless times in Earth's history. Like its inhabitants, millions of civilizations have been born on this planet, have grown, flourished, and disappeared. All advanced, all with wise people, many interstellars. It is an eternal cycle. Today, all of them are buried in the sands of time. We would like to add that what terrestrial science classifies as Homo sapiens sapiens is Lyrian. In other words, Homo sapiens sapiens, or modern men, originated in Lyra, and is not originally from this solar system. The other anthropomorphic races, such as the Neanderthal Homo erectus or Homo habilis, are not Lyrian, although they have a similar appearance. Yahtzee Swaruu explained to us that there are many races in our galaxy similar to the Lyrian race. So many variants that merge with each other. There are races apparently identical to the Lyrians, there are others slightly different, clearly different, or very different until they get lost in all other non-human appearances. So once again, Lyrian is the one who comes from Lyra, and both the origin of Earth and the origin of Lyra are much older than science can calculate. So with that said, let's start with our history. 40,000 years ago, our galaxy was still threatened by the Orion Council. The Lyrian race was being severely hunted. The reptilians' goal was domination and control of the species for exploitation purposes, whether as the use of slaves for work or as raw material. The Lyrian race was clearly taken as inferior by the Reptilian Council members, viewing them as little more than cattle. While the Federation of United Planets gathered forces and faced the reptilian threat. At that time, the bloody hunt that the council members were coordinating was clearly bringing many civilizations, not just Lyrian, to the brink of extinction. In one way or another, at that period in history, all races were under the scourge of the Orion Council. In that course of time, small groups of Lyrians had managed to reach the Pleiades cluster, M45, and establish themselves and several of their solar systems and planets. They had settled mostly underground, in fear of being discovered. And for many years, its expansion and cultural development was really very limited, focusing mainly on hiding and preparing for defense. In the same way, in our solar system there was a similar climax. The first humans from Lyra had settled mainly on Venus and on Earth. They presented an advanced holographic society with spaceports. They were clearly an interstellar civilization. On Earth, they landed on the continent of Appalachia, today, the northern Atlantic Ocean. They sought refuge underground or in deep caverns. Since their arrival here, they coexisted and interacted with indigenous anthropomorphic races for a long time. But the Lyrians were truly lost, scared and desperate. Their ship had been deactivated and left them on Earth with almost no equipment. They built observatories in order to fix their position on star maps. They wanted to know where they were, what was their exact position in the space quadrant. It took them years, but they finally managed to find its location. Already feeling close to extermination and in total despair, the left messages authentic star maps camouflaged in paintings, trying to capture their story in case someone ever found them and could understand their messages. So, as you see, these were difficult times in our galaxy. Not all cave paintings are hunting scenes. Some yes, but others are not. The same thing happens with Stonehenge and our similar megalithic monuments, which seems that our historians have not quite agreed on what function or for what they were created. I think that all this is a very important moment in our history, in this case of prehistory, and I would like to explain all this little more in detail. The Stonehenge stone formation, like other similar formations, were designed to observe the stars and to be able to fix a position on star maps. The stones give a fixed and stable position in a 360-degree circle, and thus they could observe their movements across the sky. They are built on powerful energetic lines, meaning internal positive black goo flow points, which creates a magnetic flux in that area. The stones were placed with anti-gravity technology. In the case of Stonehenge, the stones have been moved from their initial place, and this has happened on several occasions. The last time they were moved was during its restoration, between the years 1919 to 1960. Regarding the cave paintings, the Lyrians tried to camouflage messages among what seemed like daily hunting scenes, somehow imitating the paintings made by other anthropomorphic races that inhabited Earth at that time, and thus prevent their messages from being captured and deciphered by reptiles. That was the idea, to confuse the enemy, but their drawings do not represent hunting scenes. They are authentic star maps with vectors of movement of position. Some paintings explain how they were, where they came from, what had happened to them, and where they were going. Each animal that are present a star. Each compound large animal, a constellation. Each person running with a spear represents a ship, the lance indicates direction or vector. Their output is where they come from. All converge on Earth as destination. For example, in this painting here, the bull represents the constellation of Taurus. Around his eye the constellation of Hyades. Behind the bull on the buttock, there is like a square. The square represents a portal, out of our sun connects there. It's a portal in the sun that connects to the constellation of Taurus. The message is, we come from the Hyades cluster from the constellation of Taurus, we got here, through a solar portal. As you can see there left in the painting some keys that only interstellar beings could have put there. Not all the cave paintings were painted by Lyrians, only some of these were explained to us that, as far as she knows, they are not mixed in the same archaeological sites. She explained that normally when an animal represents a constellation is looking to the left, except if then constellation is looking to the right, since from space, the constellation looks the same as from Earth. Only in mirror view by effect of trigonometry. In addition, some cave paintings are much older than terrestrial science lists. Some place them around 15,000 years old, but in reality, many of them are aged more than 50,000. This is due to the fact that carbon-14 dating is often imprecise. What happens is that carbon-14 is supposed to adhere to or be present from certain organic compounds. So if you know the exact rate of degradation of carbon-14, with its state of degradation or decomposition, you can determine the age of whatever contains it. That is the theory, but it happens that the degradation of carbon-14 is not stable, and it's due to other factors such as the exposure of the sample to other radioactive heavy metals, which makes carbon-14 extremely imprecise. The fact that we are told that the human being comes from the monkey, or we are ancient civilizations such as the Neanderthal who are dedicated to hunting or not much more, is an attempt to degrade the human being. It's an attempt to erase our history by shutting up researchers, historians, or the curious. An attempt to eliminate our origin, our stellar provenance. But little by little we are putting pieces together. We began to remember, we are remembering. Thank you very much for being here and watching this video. See you in the next one. This knowledge has been given by the Taygetian Pleiadian. By Yatsi Swaruu Tasharat Tasha. Through her civilization's historical records, the United Federation of Planets, and her knowledge about ancient history of Earth.
Love and gratitude to you, my friend. For more videos like this, please do like, share, and subscribe to Edification Coach. Also remember to push the notification button. Doing so, help our channel to thrive and reach for more people. We are here to help you thrive.
Take good care. Blessings.